Sahana bhavatu, sahana bhunaktu, sahaviryam karavavahi, tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahi. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shantihim. May Brahman protect us, may he guide us, may he give us strength and right understanding. May love and harmony be with us all. Om, peace, peace, peace. Friends, we are very happy today we have a guest, Swami speaker, Swami Tattwamayananda, head of the Vedanta Society of Northern California, San Francisco. Swami is very well versed in Sanskrit and the scriptures. So I suggested him that today is our Sri Ramakrishna's birth anniversary service to speak a very suitable subject on Sri Ramakrishna. And this topic will be Sri Ramakrishna's spiritual Advaitic experience, a scriptural view. Very interesting subject. Sri Ramakrishna's Advaitic experience, a scriptural analysis, that is the topic. Sri Ramakrishna's Advaitic experience. Sri Ramakrishna is a unique spiritual personality in this world. He first realized God in Hindu way, then he practiced Christianity, then he practiced Islam. After realizing God in different religions, he found as many faiths, so many paths, and do not quarrel about religion. His Advaitic experience, Swami will speak to you. You see, non-dualistic experience is the culmination of all spiritual experiences. His guru, Totapuri, experienced that Nirvikalpa Samadhi, where this whole world merged into that one unity Brahman. That is the highest experience one can have. Nirvikalpa Samadhi. His guru got it after practicing 40 years. And Sri Ramakrishna got that thing in 3 days. Swami told you other stories about his the journey of non-dualism. I shall not take much time. Swami will speak on that subject. Sri Ramakrishna's Advaitic experience, a scriptural analysis. Swami Tattwamayananda.
Om Sthapakaya cha dharmasya sarvadharmaswarupine avatara varisthaya Ramakrishnaya te namaha Sruti smriti purananam alayam karunalayam namami bhagavat padam shankaram lokashankaram. My pranams to Revered Chedananji Maharaj, my namaskar and greetings and good morning to all the friends and well-wishers of the center who have assembled here. I recited 2 verses by way of invocation. The first one is devoted to Sri Ramakrishna himself, who is the subject of discussion this morning. And the second one is Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavad Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram. Advaita experience is timeless. It is as ancient as an idea, as a concept, as an experience. You find it in the Rigveda Samhita itself, which is the oldest and the most ancient and incidentally the most important spiritual document of Hindu tradition. Indramitram Varinam Aknirahu Adho Divyasa Suparno Garutman Ekam Sat Viprabha Udhavadandi Aknim Yamama Trishwanamahu. The Ekam Sat, that statement is the first recorded statement in the history of religious philosophy. And that is from the first mandala itself, Rigveda Samhita. Now, this idea was expounded and developed into a compact philosophical metaphysical system by Shankaracharya. And apart from that, if you look at the history of the great religious philosophers of the world, you find in sheer volume of work that a person could accomplish in one short life of 32 years. Shankara may be one of the greatest, one of the most accomplished hard workers in the world. 10 monastic orders, and you have to remember Ignatius Loyola founded just one monastic order. 4 monasteries in 4 distant corners of Indian subcontinent of those days, which included Afghanistan, today's Pakistan, Afghanistan, Burma, and Sri Lanka, and India's borders extended all the way beyond what it is now. And he is supposed to have installed or reinstalled more than 100 temples all across the country. Wrote the most profound and the most devotional, the most moving devotion poetry in Sanskrit language, 64. So if you want to go to a mother temple, Shakta temple, Shaiva temple, if you want to recite the most moving devotional poetry, you have to quote from Shankara, who is also the greatest exponent of non-Advaitic philosophical system. If you are doing worship today, you have to do Panchopachara, Deshopachara, Shodasopachara, and Chatushashtupachara, which is normally very rarely done when we install big temples. Chatushashtupachara Puja Stotram, Shankara wrote, in which he explains and defines and depicts 64 types of worship. Ushasima Mangala Jayini means, oh mother, get up in the morning. The all-pervading spiritual energy is invoked to be present on the image in front of you, not because the image is God, because the divine power that is present everywhere is invoked to be present on the image or a photo or whatever may be for you to meditate upon. Now, and apart from all that, he is also the author of the most profound philosophical works known to humanity, which today Sanskrit scholars take 20 years, 30 years to study. You find pot-bellied Brahmins in many places in India with the tough kind, you find struggling hard to study a book, not one of the several books written by Shankaracharya, long before he finished his 12th grade, so to speak. He had already reached only his 16th year before he had written all these books, which today professors struggle hard to argue, to talk about, expound. So, Ashtame Chaduro Vedan Shodase Sarvashastravid, that's the statement made here. Ashtame Chaduro Vedan Shodase Sarvashastravid. And Shodase Kritavan Bhashyam, there is another verse. Dvatrimse Munihi Abhyagat. So Shodasha means 16th year. I don't know if there is any great philosopher, an epoch maker in the history of religious philosophy, who has finished all his writings and who has established 10 monastic orders to which Totapuri belonged. Totapuri Maharaj, who initiated Sri Ramakrishna into Advaita, belonged to one of the 10 monastic orders, which are still flourishing in India. Now, this is the uniqueness, the antiquity, and the profoundness of India's spiritual tradition. Now, coming back to Sri Ramakrishna. Now, I don't have much time, so within a very short time I shall try to do justice to the subject at hand. Now, if you read the Great Master by Swami Sharadananda ji, or its more modified version which is being compiled by Swami Chaitananda Maharaj, you can see a brief description of how Totapuri happened to come to Dakshineshwar and happened to meet Sri Ramakrishna and happened to teach him Advaita. You get a very fascinating story. When Totapuri landed in Dakshineshwar temple, he found a young man with a beaming face, which showed that he had not thought of anything other than God in his whole lifetime. Because what you think into your mind, that could be seen, visible on your face, yad bhavayadi tad bhavati. So when Totapuri saw Sri Ramakrishna's face, he may have thought, here's a unique type of human specimen, who is the fittest adhigari, uttama adhigari, for Advaita experience, Advaita training. And he comes to Sri Ramakrishna and asks him, why don't you do this? Sri Ramakrishna said, well, I want to consult my mother. So I'm not going to go to those details. So Sri Ramakrishna came to the Dakshineshwar Kali temple and asked the mother. And mother said, go child and learn. He has come for this purpose, to teach you Advaita. And Sri Ramakrishna started getting instructions. Of course, without getting permission, he didn't consult with his biological mother. He consulted the divine mother of all mothers, So this is how the story goes, because he didn't want to hurt the feelings of the old pious woman, his own mother. So he got permission from divine mother, Bhavatarini, and Totapuri starts instruction. And Totapuri found that it was difficult for Sri Ramakrishna to transcend the personal, the saguna sakara savishesha. Because every time he tried to ascend beyond the Dvaita, beyond the anthropomorphic, beyond the personal, sakara, the divine mother of Bhavatarini Kali always appeared before him, blocking the way. Then Totapuri goes about and finds a small, tiny piece of glass, which he picks up and he pricks it in Sri Ramakrishna's forehead between the eyebrows, Bhru Madhya, which is supposed to be the place where you meditate upon when you meditate on the Advaita tradition. As you meditate on the Sakuna Sagara Savishesha level, you meditate on the Hridaya Padma. When you meditate on the transcendental, the impersonal, you meditate on the Bhrumadhya. So Totapuri instructed Sri Ramakrishna to meditate on this between the two eyebrows. And then Sri Ramakrishna says he cut the center, he went beyond the personal. Now what does it mean? What did Sri Ramakrishna mean when he said that I cut asunder through the sword of knowledge of the impersonal? What he meant was, the personal and impersonal are not two contradictions, are not two different approaches. They are parts of the same reality, the same experience. And you can find many such statements in the Bhashya itself, which is what I am trying to do this morning. So, when Sri Ramakrishna realized the Advaitic experience, something happened. He continued to sit on that meditative posture for 3 days. Totapuri waited for his disciple to come back to the normal plane, but it took more than 3 days. At the end of the 3rd day, Sri Ramakrishna returned to the normal plane, and with great difficulty. And then Totapuri himself exclaimed that he himself tried for 40 years, which Sri Ramakrishna accomplished in 3 days, to reach this Advaitic experience. Now what happened to Sri Ramakrishna? Now normally in the traditional Advaitic instruction, there is one Upadesha Vakya, then there is Lakshana and Anusandhana Vakyas, then there is an Anubhuti Vakya. So these are the 4 Mahavakyas taken from 4 different Vedic traditions and 4 different Upanishad traditions. So Tattwamasi is the Upadesha Vakya, which means the statement of instruction. You are not this physical embodiment. You are that transcendental, all-pervading, immanent reality, Atman, Aidhatmyam Satyam. That is how they say in that Tattwamasi Shvetakedo is the original instruction coming from Chandogya Upanishad, 6th chapter, that is from Samaveda. So in the Chandogya Upanishad, the 6th chapter, there are 16 Brahmanas, of which the 9 Brahmanas from 8th to 16th contain 1 Upadesha, 1 statement and 8 repetitions, is altogether 9 statements of Tattwamasi. Now, that is an instruction. After getting instruction, a disciple is supposed to, or is expected to, practice and follow the inner meaning of this instruction through Sravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, Karma Yoga, Puja, and attending Vedanta Society lectures. These are all different kinds of spiritual practices by which you internalize, you emphasize, you focus the real implication of the instruction. So, during that time, after getting Tattwamasi Mahavakya, you are expected to follow this Sravana, hearing again, reading scriptures, feeding the mind, our mind with the spiritual food, repeating the Mahavakya again and again, and then deep concentration and internalization through deep meditation, Nididhyasana. During this time, you follow the path of 2 other Mahavakyas. One is from Rigveda, the other is from Atharvaveda. Rigveda Mahavakya is Prajnanam Brahma, it is from Aitareya Upanishad, and the Atharvaveda Mahavakya is from Mandukya Upanishad, Ayam Atma Brahma. So, after getting Tattwamasi Mahavakya, a normal spiritual seeker, not somebody like Sri Ramakrishna or Shankaracharya, not somebody like normal spiritual seekers. Now, there are in the entire recorded history of mythological literature, there are only 2 instances, historical and mythological literature. One is Sri Ramakrishna, the other is when Shankaracharya got Advaita Anubhuti when he was 7 years old from Govinda Bhagavatpada in Omkareshwar, where he went to meet his guru, to get instruction and to get initiation into sannyasa. This is the story that is repeated in the Govindiya Shankara Digvijayas and some of the Shankara Digvijayas, not in Vidyaranya's famous one. So then after practicing this, maybe not in one life, maybe in several lives, perhaps as in the case of Totapari, in 40 years, one may eventually reach the experience. So when you reach the experience level, it's called Aham Brahmasmi. So, and even in this evolution from instruction to experience, from an idea or a concept to actuality or reality, is a long distance you have to travel. Many spiritual seekers may take several life cycles to accomplish this. Maybe for several decades. Todabari took 40 years to reach that level of experience. It is called Aham Brahmasmi. So even in that experience, there are 2 levels. One is Aham Brahmasmi Paroksha Anubhuti, where you intellectually get convinced of the reality of Aham Brahmasmi. I am the Brahman. And then you transcend the statement, you reach the real experience. So, because experience is always beyond the statement about that experience. Now, Those who are interested, you can consult Shankaracharya's own Brahma Sutra Bhashya at the Sutri end, where he says, beyond the statement and beyond the conviction, there is no pramata, pramatru, prameya bhedaha, but knower, known and knowledge merge into one. Now, Sri Ramakrishna reached this experience in 3 days. That's the point. So what happens when a highly accomplished spiritual seeker happens to listen to Mahavakya statement? Well, it is something like this. Suppose you drive from here to St. Louis airport every day, morning and evening, maybe 3 times a day. And you do this for 50 years. And later somebody tells you, well, on the way to St. Louis airport, there's a building on the way, or a tree, or maybe a place, a special place, a big shop. If somebody tells you, don't you remember the shop, the building on the way to the airport? Because you have been driving up and down for 50 years. You don't need a long instruction. You don't need a big research to find out what I'm talking about. The moment I tell you, the building, the particular road, I name the road, immediately it becomes a reality for you. But if you tell me, I will never be able to find out what it means really. You have to go to Google, I have to go consult somebody who had visited, who had driven many times. But if you have traveled along this road every day for 50 years, then you don't need a long instruction. You don't need to do a lot of research to find out what exactly, but precisely I'm talking about. Now, Sri Ramakrishna's life was something very interesting. He never thought of anything other than God in his whole life. For normal people, the problem is how to think of God. For Sri Ramakrishna, the problem was how to think of anything other than God. He could never think of anything other than God. He was meditating, he was thinking, he was reading, he was discussing about God, about Divine Mother, all his lifetime. So his whole mind has become so pure. All these samskaras, vrittis, vasanas, sankalpas, all have been merged into one single sakara vritti, it is called in the bhakti tradition, where you meditate on one God, meditate on the reality, meditate on one spiritual idea. Your whole mind becomes one with it. So that is what happened to Sri Ramakrishna. Because when a normal person who has not reached that level of spiritual evolution, he has to struggle hard to accommodate the God idea into these billions of other ideas which have already accumulated in the mental system. So karma, vritti, vasana, samskara, sankalpa, this karma, samskara, chakram is a go-on cycles. Whatever we do, it becomes a samskara, an impression, an attitude, a tendency. So it goes on happening for cycles, different life cycles. In the case of Sri Ramakrishna, there is no other vritti except the vritti related to the Divine Mother. In Vedanta also, before you reach Advaita Anubhuti, it's called Brahma Akara Vritti, something like this, the same. If such a person happens to listen to a great spiritual idea, he immediately captures it. If a person is not ready, it may take some time. So in the Vedantic tradition, the mainstream Vedanta tradition, there are 2 main streams regarding this. One is Shabda Aparokshavada, the other is Prasankhyanavada. These are technical terms, but I can't help using these terms. They have been used by great scholars, both by Indologists, Western Indologists, European Indologists, and also Indian traditional scholars. So during the post-Shankarite time, 2 main, somewhat different approaches evolved in interpreting Advaita experience. One is the view that a highly evolved person, a person who has reached the highest level of sadhana chatushtaya, means the fundamental qualifications for an Advaita Adhikari. Ihamutra, that is Nitya Nitya Vastu Vivega, Ihamutra Phalabhoga Viraga, Samadhi Sarkar Sambhati Mumukshuttu, sense of real and unreal, a sense of renunciation for the unreal, and complete mental sensory control, plus Mumukshuttu, plus Sravana Manana Nididhyasana, reading, listening, meditating, contemplating on the higher spiritual ideas. So through these 7 disciplines, when you have reached the highest degree of spiritual fitness, then if you listen, immediately it strikes you as an experience. As it happens when you are driving to the same place every day for 50 years. You don't require a lot of elaborate description to find out what we are talking about. So, Tattwamasi Upadesha immediately became Aham Brahmasmi Anubhuti for Sri Ramakrishna. This particular view is just one of the 2 views, as I mentioned. This view was originally expounded by Sureshwara in his Brihadaranya Upanishad Bhashyavartikam, and also in his another unique work, smaller work called Naishkarmya Siddhi. So, he says, when you have fully reached the highest level of all spiritual fitness, then what happens is, when you hear, immediately you will understand it. I can give another example. Suppose you have done very well in your 5th grade examination, school, a child, a student, he has done extremely well, very high grade, and he goes and in the 6th grade next year, and the first few lessons that he has to study, it will be very easy for him. That's because he has done extremely well the previous year. Because the 5th grade examination is some kind of a preparation for sitting on the 6th grade. Now, because there's no distance at all. Like that, when you reach that level of spiritual fitness, even if you go to the university, read a great spiritual statement, you may feel a great attraction for it. But if you have reached that level of spiritual fitness, then it may become an experience. But if you had reached that level of spiritual eminence, you may not have to go to the university library. That's a different matter, of course. But the point is, it all depends upon our own spiritual fitness. This is one view, and this view is the view belonging to the 2 schools of Vedanta. One is Vivarana school. Vivarana school is named after one important work by Prakashatmayedi. It's called Panchapadika Vivaranam. So Panchapadika was a commentary on some of the Brahma Sutras by Padmapada, who was one of Shankaracharya's disciples. And it had a super commentary, Panchapadika Vivarana, by another great saint belonging to the Vivarana tradition, and Vivarana Prameya Samgraha. Like that, there are a number of commentaries and super commentaries belonging to this tradition. Sureshwara actually expounded the old school known as Abhasavada. So anyway, it's a bit technical, but I shall try to explain. 2 schools merged into one. One is Abhasavada, which is the school that tells you that when just like a crystal that comes close to a red flower assumes the color of the red flower, so also our mind is like a crystal. Its close proximity, as it meditates, as it becomes more and more evolved, it assumes the resemblance of Brahman. It's called Abhasavada. Then another view was propounded by Padmapada, who believed in Pratibimbavada. So Vajaspade Ravacheda Abhaso Vartigasyaja. This is the old tradition. So, Padmapada Samkshipta Saririgoyam Pradibimboyam Videshchida means Padmapada, he said that we are all so many mirrors or so many reflecting mediums. Suppose you have 10,000 pots filled with water and the effulgent sun above you, above your head. The brilliant sunlight will be seen reflected on the pool of the water within the pots. So our mind is like a pool of water. In our mind there is a reflection of Brahman, Atman, God. I mean God in the monotheistic sense. Or our mind is like a mirror. If our mind is pure, there is no dust. If there is no other vritti, like Sri Ramakrishna's mind, there is absolutely no other vritti in Sri Ramakrishna's mind. Vritti means impression, ideas, attitudes, different manifestations of vrittis. In Sri Ramakrishna's mind, it's like a pure glass of a mirror. The sun shines in its full brilliance. So, according to the Vivarana school of Vedanta, if our mind is so pure, then just one listening to Mahavakya will lead to instant anubhuti or experience. That is what happened to Sri Ramakrishna. Now, this is one view. The opposite view is called Prasankhyanavada. So, what I described till now is the view that for a highly accomplished spiritual seeker, just one instruction will immediately produce the experience which normally could take several life cycles, or as in the case of a great spiritual teacher like Totapuri, 40 years. See, if you take a piece of cloth and remove the dust of the mirror, then you don't have to do anything. The sunlight will reflect of itself. You don't have to struggle hard to make the sunlight reflect on the mirror surface. All that you have to do is to remove the dust. Like that, Sri Ramakrishna, in his whole lifetime, was keeping his mirror pure and dust-free throughout. So one instruction, Tattwamasi, produced the experience. It's called Shabda Aparokshvada. The school or the view that believes that instruction immediately produces Aparokshanubhuti, direct experience in a highly accomplished spiritual seeker. Then Prasankhyanavada. Prasankhyanā is a word used by one of the philosophers who was in a way a contemporary of Shankaracharya, an elder contemporary. His name is Mandana, who wrote a well-known book, Brahma Siddhi, which is one of the which argues, which puts forward a point that stands somewhere between Mimamsa and Advaita. So, during Shankara's time, there was a view. The particular school was known as Jnana Karma Samuccayavadaka. I mean, the school of philosophy that believed that even after getting the highest instruction, you have to continue work, spiritual practice, to really make that instruction, that knowledge yours. Which is true for most of the common spiritual seekers. So, Srauda, Smarta, Karma Sahidat, Jnana Deva Mukti. That was the statement. That means, even after getting instruction, Tattwamasi, you can't immediately get experience according to this view. You have to work hard. You have to do Karma Yoga. You have to do Sravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. I mean, you have to hear Vedantic statements, you have to meditate on the meaning of Vedantic statements, you have to internalize the essence of Vedantic statements. Of course, before that, you should have already accomplished or attained the 4 primary prerequisites or qualifications, like the sense of real and unreal, and sense of renunciation, sensory control, restraint, and a strong desire for liberation called mumukshutva. And along with that, you should do all yajnas and yagas. In those days, in modern times, let us say, you should do all duties, oblations, puja, all this you have to do. Like that, after a long time, when you reach the end of your lifetime, you may get mukti or liberation, anubhuti. You cannot get it immediately. This was the view held by 3 philosophers who were more or less Shankaracharya's contemporaries. Mandana, who wrote Brahmasiddhi, Brahmadatta, whose works are not yet available. I mean, people don't fully accept that many of the books, many of the statements that are quoted from Mandana by modern researchers can be fully relied upon, but there is no doubt that Shankaracharya himself refers to him, Sureshwara refers to him. So Mandana, Brahmadatta, and a third great philosopher who believed in this prasankhya view was Bhartru Prapancha, who was a great exponent of Jnana Karma Samuchayavada. The belief that even after getting instruction, you cannot get the experience immediately, you have to work very hard. Now, the point is, the genesis of both these views could be found in Shankaracharya's own commentary. So, these divergent views were the result of great thinkers, great post-Shankarite Advaitins, who tried to expound Shankaracharya's own thesis from different perspectives. Now, those who are not fully equipped with the highest degree of spiritual fitness, naturally, they have to struggle hard. See, if a student has not done very well in the previous examination, then when he goes for the next stage in his education, he will have to work hard, he may have to struggle very hard in order to first of all become ready for higher course. He won't be able to immediately enjoy what is being taught in this higher class, because he did not do too well in his previous class. Like that, those who are not fully fit for the highest instruction, they may have to struggle hard again and again for reaching that level of spiritual fitness. I have tried to think of some parallels from Western Christian mystical tradition. So you find in the writings of St. Teresa of Avila's autobiographical writings, you find the sudden conversion that is supposed to have taken place in the case of St. Augustine, or even St. Francis of Assisi, who was a soldier after all. Now, in one of the unique books, small books belonging to Russian Orthodox tradition, it's called The Way of a Pilgrim, you find a very interesting story. The pilgrim was a humble peasant who could barely read and write, and who happened to visit a Russian Orthodox church to listen to a sermon on the first epistle of St. Paul on Jesus' prayer, how to remain in a perpetual state of prayerfulness. And he listened to this. Maybe the priest himself didn't take very seriously what he was preaching, but a humble peasant who was such a simple, sincere person, who was fully equipped with sadhana chadushtaya, as we call in our tradition, this man took it very seriously. So he left his home. He did not have a home to leave behind actually. He was a poor man. He left his home, and his plan was to go to Jerusalem. And then he was walking hundreds of miles all across Russia, this incident is supposed to have taken place in the middle of 19th century, that before the liberation of the serfs, because the serfdom was abolished in Tsarist Russia, 19th century. So this man started walking, and on the way he met a Christian priest, a highly advanced spiritual seeker belonging to the Russian Orthodox Church. This is a biography, autobiography, which was actually discovered in Greece, in Mount Athia, where the manuscript was found. His autobiographical writings were translated in different languages. So, and there he found a monk, and he requested him to teach him the Jesus prayer. The Jesus prayer he knew. I mean, it's just a verbal expression, so many words. But he wanted what it actually implies, how to always remain in a state of prayerfulness. So this man learned it from the Russian Orthodox monk, and when he learned it, immediately he felt it as an inner experience. So because he struggled hard, left everything behind, walked across the streets all over Russia, and eventually he was ambushed, he was persecuted, he had to starve in so many places. Finally he reached a place where a monk taught him, and immediately he felt it's an experience. So you find distant, remote echoes of this idea of what happened to Sri Ramakrishna in a different sense you find in many great spiritual traditions. So what I want to say, the other view, the second view, Prasankhyanavada, they say you can get an experience only if you travel the distance from an idea into an experience. It's a long distance. Sometimes people believe, Advaita. Advaita means, I thought my name was X and Y. Now I understand my name is Brahman. It is not just a concept or information or a news that we get. It is a matter of real experience. There's a great danger in reducing Advaita into mere intellectual concept. It is a matter of inner experience. One can become an Advaitin only, at least to some extent, he has some degree of experience. So if you teach Kant, critical pure reason, you may be called a Kantian. If you teach J.S. Mill, you may be called a utilitarian. But if you teach Vedanta scriptures, you don't become a Vedantin in that sense. If you teach economics, you are an economist. So Advaita actually becomes Advaita only when it becomes an experience. There is another scriptural stream in Indian tradition, that is the path, the view of Yoga Vasishtha. Yoga Vasishtha is a very old, ancient book. It has got more than one version. In Yoga Vasishtha, there is the view that as you ascend along the path of your spiritual evolution, you go through 7 stages in an ascending order. These 7 stages are Subhecha, Vicharana, Tanumanasa, Tattwasati, Tattvabuddhi, then Turyaga, different stages, 7 stages, of which the first 1 and 2, that is Subhecha and Vicharana, and Tanumanasa, 3 together constitute the first stage in the evolution of a spiritual seeker. Subhecha means a strong desire for liberation and all the accompanying characteristics like a sense of renunciation, a sense of the real and unreal, plus a natural tendency, an instinctive tendency to study scriptures, to meditate on scriptures, not with a lot of effort. Ayatna, Lalita, Siddha, Swadhyaya Patha. That is the view of Shankaracharya. Means, if you are surrounded by a large number of books, maybe in the airport or in bus stand or anywhere, your mind should automatically go to the Upanishad, the Gita, or the Bible, or anything that is likely to sublimate your mental tendencies. So that kind of natural instinctive tendency, when we reach that level of spiritual evolution, then naturally, slowly we evolve into the early stages of mukti, jivan mukti, videha mukti, and so on. But in Sri Ramakrishna's case, for him there was no need of any additional effort, so to speak. So far he was concerned, his mind had become so absolutely pure. It had become like a mirror without the least bit of dust or filth in it. So if the effulgent sun is rising above, immediately the sunlight will be visible on that mirror. Because one hearing is enough. We hear many things, but when we are not of that level of spiritual fitness, then after hearing, we must reinforce, we have to emphasize, we have to reinforce the effect of the hearing. So also Vedanta hearing. First of all, we have to struggle hard against the temptations of hearing many unnecessary things. That's the main problem. For the beginner, Vedanta hearing or spiritual instructions is one of the millions of words assaulting, agitating within the human mental system. It has struggled hard to find a place among millions of other tendencies and vrittis. But for a person who has reached the Subhecha, Vicharana, Tanumanasa in the Yoga Vasishtha tradition, or the Sadhana Chadushtaya and Sravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, all these highest level, Nididhyasana level, if you have reached, then your mind will not have to struggle hard to accommodate these great spiritual ideas coming from scriptures. So that is an important point, remember. There is no real conflict. Second point to remember is, when you go beyond the personal, when you ascend to the impersonal, you are not rejecting the personal. See, look at the story as the incident described in our spiritual classics. Great master. Now, when Sri Ramakrishna tried at the beginning, when he tried to go beyond the personal, he thought it was not easy. Finally, remembering the fact, maybe there is Sri Ramakrishna says this, his statement is, I use that asanga shastrena, asanga shastra means a weapon or a sword, which actually the knowledge that the personal, impersonal contradictions exist only at the polemical, dialectical level, not the experience level. So once you transcend the personal, you are not leaving behind the personal, you are not rejecting the personal, you are going beyond the personal. So when you reach a university, if you are a university professor, you don't reject, you don't throw away what you learned in the early part of your education. You have to build up your thesis, you have to write using the same alphabet that you studied when you went to kindergarten, even if you are a professor, really speaking. So, the personal, impersonal are not two mutually conflicting, contradictory approaches. They are just two aspects of the same. There is no rejecting of the personal. There is no question of giving up the personal. There is no question of going contrary to the personal. You are going beyond the personal. You are transcending the personal. And once you reach that transcendental, impersonal dimension, the Advaita Anubhuti, then you will understand the personal also is part of it. I can quote I can try to conclude with a quotation from Gaudapada Karika, which Shankaracharya's own Bhashya. In the Gaudapada Karika, there is a well-known verse. Swasiddhanta vyavasthasu dvaitino nischida dridam parasparam viruddhyante taihi ayam na viruddhyate. What it says in the Gaudapada tradition, he lived before Shankara. When he talks about Dvaita, he's not talking about Madhva, Ramanuja or Vallabha Dvaita system. He's talking about idea that the personal, impersonal are two different things, mutually contradictory. Well, who believe like that, you can find the Shaiva, Shakta, or most of the problems in the about a monotheistic God in Abrahamic traditions. Within Hinduism, different groups, you find Shaiva, Shakta, Vaishnava, you find in India also, you find this. All these contradictions and conflicts are due to one problem. That problem is A is B, B is C, but A is not C. How can we go against logic? Is A is B and B is C, then A also is C. So frequently, this problem arises. So they fight among themselves. Parasparam viruddhyante means they mutually fight among themselves. But this Advaita has no conflict with anyone. Why? So Shankaracharya says, Asmadiyoyam vaidyo dharma na viruddhade atma ananyatvad. So the essence of all these statements is non-distinct, non-different, the same. So with whom will you fight? One of the Tigakara's commentators say, Yada suhasta padadibhisaha. Bhashyakara also makes the statement. He means, you don't fight your left hand with your right hand. Suppose you give a blow on your left hand with your right hand, or give a blow on your own head, who is going to feel the pain? So there is no otherness. Like that, there is, really speaking, at the experience level, there is no conflict between Saguna, Sakara, Savishesha. That is, personal with attributes, with characteristics, and the impersonal. That apparent conflict exists only at the polemical level, at the philosophical level, at the level of the debate. That's why I can again conclude, this is the real conclusion. In the Bhagavad Gita, there is a verse, Maicha ananya yogena bhaktihi avibhicharini vivikta desha sevittum anabhir jana samsati. Most probably it comes in the 13th chapter, perhaps. So here Lord Krishna is describing avibhicharini bhakti, which means na vyabhicharana sila, shuddha, achala, avibhicharini, like avibhagena bhajanam, like Bhashyakara says, pure devotion, unwavering devotion, single-minded, focused devotion. What is the pure devotion? In any tradition, but he says that pure devotion is jnanam itself, sacha jnanam. So sa is a plural in the feminine gender, referring to bhakti. So devotion or bhakti to Divine Mother at the highest level, where you don't think of anything else, is actually non-distinct and non-different from Jnanam Advaita Anubhuti. Unfortunately, Tothapuri did not understand the fact that his own great teacher Shankaracharya was the greatest devotional poet of Sanskrit language. So when Sri Ramakrishna was doing bhajans, Tothapuri made fun of him, you are making chapati. He forgot the fact the greatest chapati maker was Shankaracharya himself. When he went to Kanchi temple, he recited Saundari Lahari. And he went to Tripureswari temple, according to one view, he recited another Shaiva, Devi Aparadakshamapana. When he went to Kashi, Vishwanatashtakam. Like that, wherever he went, whether Shiva temple, Vishnu Satpadi, or Shakti Mother, Divine Mother temple, immediately he recited some exquisite devotional poems. In fact, in Dakshineshwar itself, once a great Avadhuta came, he was a living embodiment of Advaita experience, Advaitic experience. He plunged himself into the river Ganga, did not take a regular bath, came out and stood in front of the shrine and recited a verse. And because he was a living embodiment of Advaita experience, the whole temple shook. That's what Great Master says. Because his identification with the Divine Mother sitting in the shrine, which he did not see as an image, but a living embodiment. So Advaita makes you a devotee of the highest type. This fact, perhaps Totapuri was in need of being instructed in, and for that he came to the Dakshineswar. That's what Sharadanandaji concludes, but that's how he concludes the whole episode. So thank you. It's just an attempt to give a bird view of a very important and very fascinating topic in the life of Sri Ramakrishna. Thank you. Namaskar. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.
Friends, I was very moved to hear his lecture. I know some of his talks may be gone from the above of your heads. This topic is very, very important. Those who come to Vedanta, they must know what Vedanta is, and what is the goal of Vedanta, and how to practice Vedanta. Vedanta is not any doctrine or dogma or anything. It is a universal religion. Anybody can practice it. I am the Atman. Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. Really, we are Brahman, we are gods. As Christ said, the kingdom of heaven is within you. We are always carrying that heaven, but we are unaware of it. That is our problem. I am Brahman, but I am not aware of it. Problem? Ignorance. How to get rid of it? That is said. You need disciplines. You will have to practice. I like his analogy. He says that you were traveling St. Louis airport last 15, 20 years, so you know every building on the road. 170 when I go, I know every building. Because I'm traveling every day 15 years. Similarly, if you practice spiritual disciplines regularly, according to the instruction of your Guru, you know every inch of the way, because you are traveling this path daily, 2-3 times a day. It is all a matter of practice. Sometimes we think Vedanta is very difficult. The way he talks, if you do not have that various schools he mentioned, if you do not have knowledge of this school, you cannot understand what he was talking about. But he gave a very clear picture. These are the views, personal, impersonal, devotional, all these things, all merged into that non-dualistic experience, Advaita. Knowingly, unknowingly, we are going to that direction. Advaita, ignorance. Ignorance. How to get rid of it? He mentioned that Sri Ramakrishna's mind is 100% pure, clean. The moment he hears Aham Brahmasmi, he merges into Samadhi. But I heard that mantra, but I did not go into Samadhi. Because my mind was not pure like Ramakrishna's mind. How to make the mind pure? Whole mystery is there. That is the reason we practice the spiritual disciplines. Purity of the mind, purity of the mind. You see, purity of the mind, who is making this mind impure? Desires and doubts. We know it. Everybody experiences desires, everybody experiences doubt. Desire and doubt come from ignorance. If you have no ignorance, you have no desire, no doubt. As he said, that blazing sun will be on the cup of water, and you will see reflected sun. So we are all reflected gods, according to Vedanta, that he was talking about. We are all reflected gods. We are unaware of it. This Vedantic experience, Vedantic teachings will make you aware. Who am I? What is the goal? Why am I in this world? What is the purpose of human life? Those things are so vital for us to know. That is the reason we practice spiritual disciplines, we read the mystics. He mentioned about that pilgrim's way. That man only heard 2 words, pray unceasingly. It is in the St. Paul's teachings in the Bible. Pray unceasingly. He could not figure it out. How can a person pray unceasingly? Impossible. Later on, when he got the instruction from that Christian priest, he made him understand how to get it. Slowly, he got into it. Constant, that is called ajapa japam in Vedanta. Uninterruptedly, if you repeat the mantra, mantra will enter inside you, in your prana, in your mind. Even in sleep, you will see mantra is going on. That we find in that teaching of Christianity. Pray unceasingly. That prayer, devotion, all these things will lead you to that non-dualistic experience. Aham Brahmasmi. Aham Brahmasmi. You know, when we read Sri Ramakrishna's experience, if we read the Ramakrishna's Divine Play Part 2, Volume 2, that is Vedanta Sadhana. That section, if you read, you will find that how is it possible? It transcended space, time, causality. How do we see this world? We see the world through 3 ways. Space, desha, kala, nimitta. Desh means space, kala means time, nimitta means causality, cause and effect. That is the way we perceive this world. If there is no space, if there is no time, there is no world. A space-time causality comes through Maya, ignorance. The moment you have that non-dualistic experience, you transcend these 3. In Nirvikalpa Samadhi, they say when the mind becomes mindless, the duality is not perceived. Your mind dissolves into that pure consciousness. That is the beauty of this non-dualistic Vedanta. No fight, no quarrel with everybody. Everybody, Christian, Muslim, Hindu, Buddha, Buddhist, all are marching to the same goal. That is mentioned in that sign. Truth is one, sages call it by various names. Ekam Sat Vipra Buddha Vadanti. Anyhow, I am very happy that Swami came and accepted our invitation and gave a beautiful talk. Of course, some Sanskrit words he used, many of you could not follow, but he gave some translation. But it is a very concise and very compact lecture. And he analyzed beautifully from different scriptures, from different religious traditions. So I thank Swami Tattwamayananda to give this talk in connection with Sri Ramakrishna's birth anniversary. Thank you very much. We shall stand there and greet with folded hands, no shaking hands.